And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. I'm Craig Irwin. Alongside me, Brian Best, Chris Moran. Just a little introduction. If you don't know who we are yet, Craig Irwin with 590 Sports. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. And you can find us on the Lone Star Gridiron.
That's correct.
Network. So, doing podcast extraordinaire. Just started this year, the podcast side.
Yeah.
So,
but you're already an expert, so.
Yeah, all things Texas high school football. They're on 590 Sports. We got 8 photographers that go around the area shooting games, get some really great shots throughout Friday night with everything going on, all the games in the area. And then to my left, Brian Besh, the columnist of all columnists, Polk County Enterprise.
I might be the sports columnist of columnists in Livingston, Texas, because I think I'm the only one.
You're at the top of the list.
But, Polk County Enterprise, San Jacinto News-Times, Houston County Courier, Tyler County Booster, and Trinity County News-Standard. And you can find us on easttexasnews.com and some of our... Yeah.
The app out.
Yeah.
Really good. I use it during the week.
Man, it's catching on. It really is. We've got a few tens of thousands that are on there, and it really is just starting to catch on. And I'm really glad about it because it was kind of a slow start, but the word's getting out, and we're getting some people to it.
Well, and that's the key. You know, I go back and think about Robert Howell and I did a morning radio show for Ken. At the studio, which was the hardest thing ever on a Saturday morning after high school football.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You know, and that was back in the day whenever y'all were traveling to stinking Bryan.
Yes.
You know, and
fun trips.
Trying to get up there to do a high school show at 6 o'clock in the morning made it really hard. But anyway, with all of that being said, it takes time for stuff to catch on, and y'all have been 12 months since y'all had the app out.
Yeah.
And it is catching on. And like I say, I use it, I'm not going to say daily, but I'm going to say on a weekly basis, especially to read about sports, read about Groveton, read about Corrigan, read about Livingston, Trinity, try to wrap my head around those football games.
And we just had something that we just got out of training for. We're going to start sending email blasts out, and you'll be able to get some news that way on Monday mornings and I believe Friday mornings. So we're and that's a free deal. So if you subscribe, then you get it for free. And if you're not subscribing, get on over there and subscribe.
Get over there and do it.
Yeah.
And then on the far end, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Moran, owner, operator. I'm not going to say he's the boss because we all know Barb's the boss.
Yeah, not the boss, but maybe food extraordinaire.
That is a good point. Food extraordinaire, Chris Moran, sitting down there on the far end. He's going to chirp in a little bit. And Chris had a huge week this last week in the Pick'ems, Texas high school football.
Or about a huge week. I did all right.
It was better than me.
I think he did better in the college games.
I was perfect in the college games. So 5-0 this week on a college show.
Hey, we're just going to throw it out there. On Wednesday nights, we do the high school pregame show here at Bullet Grill House, and then followed right behind that, Chris and Brian do the college game day show that airs every Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Yes.
And
so you can hear him brag about it on that probably for about 30 minutes.
Hey, he's going to slip in as much as he can here, I'm sure, bragging about that, but we didn't even get started getting set up, and Chris was like, I was perfect this last week in college football. So I wasn't so perfect in high school football, and that's what we're here to talk about here on the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. And I'll just go ahead and say it. I absolutely stunk it up in the Pick'ems.
Oh, in the Pick'ems. Well, yeah. I was going to say, well, yeah, of course you did, but yeah, in the Pick'ems as well.
Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. I'm trying to pull these scores up because I was not.
Welcome to the club because this is pretty much our segment to embarrass ourselves, I think.
And we're there. We're going to dig a hole, and we're going to dig it deep. The one thing that I did get right, Cold Spring defeated Crockett. We'll talk about that game here in a little bit. But another game that was in the Pick'ems was Crosby at Port Arthur Memorial. Port Arthur Memorial wins that one 20-13. Who else? I had it pulled up on my phone. Hampshire, Fannett, and Jasper. A dogfight over there. Jasper pulls out the win. We all picked Jasper in that one. Even Coach Vanover, 26-21 was the final there. Kirbyville at Buna. I picked Kirbyville to win that game on the road. Buna gets the win over there and really kind of opens my eyes up, and we'll talk about it as we get a little bit deeper. Another podcast, we did talk about it over there on the Lone Star Gridiron Network.
A convincing win.
Yes. So kind of shook things up with how I seen things going in that district. Goose Creek Memorial falls to Barbers Hill, and Cold Spring, as I said, defeated Crockett. 30-42 was the final in favor of the Cold Spring Trojans. Trojans moving to 2-0 in district, and Crockett going to 0-2 in district, and kind of shutting the door for them. Really and truly, as far as for the playoffs for the Crockett Bulldogs out of 9-3A Division I.
Yeah.
And you know, we beat this thing pretty hard, but definitely not the it's been a while since we've talked about Crockett not making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a rough situation, and I think we've gone over it a few times, but just the numbers aren't there as far as what you would normally see on the Crockett sidelines. And, I mean, there's been plenty of turnover there as far as coaching, and it's not the same program that it was just a couple of short years ago. It was a deal to where Crockett was the standard in that district, or whatever district they were in. They were winning district championships. They were going deep in the playoffs. And it's not like it can't get back there. So, you know,
it's just going to take some consistency.
The current folks involved that are running the thing, it's going to take some building back. But you're better off in a situation like Crockett than in a place to where maybe it doesn't have the history or the tradition of a Crockett, because you know there's talent there. There's talent walking through the hallways of that school. It's going to be somewhere.
On the football field.
It's going to be getting them on the football field and building the program back to where it is the thing to do. Get out there, go play football, and let's get a team back together. Because, I mean, this district, it's got a lot of talented teams in it, and we talked about it a couple of days ago, to where there's going to be a talented team that's probably playoff worthy by the end of the year sitting at home.
Yep.
And Crockett's probably going to be one of those. It's looking that way right now. I'll say that. I mean, anything can happen.
Well, and I think really you look at the top 5 teams out of District 9-3A is you got Diboll, Woodville, and then you got Shepherd, Palestine, Westwood, and Cold Spring kind of in that mix, in the bottom, in that the 3, 4, 5 spots.
It's almost like you have a couple of for sures that you know are going to make the playoffs in some form or fashion, and then you can draw the rest out of a hat. But Crockett's kind of below that now because they're behind the 8 ball, losing those first 2 games.
So, and with that being said, one score I didn't throw out there was Dayton was on the road at Nederland, and Dayton gets the win 45-0.
I'm shocked by that because I went the opposite way in the pick'ems.
Yeah.
Dayton's had such a – I mean, they've had such a rough time of it.
I had Dayton.
No, you did. Chris,
I didn't expect them 45-0.
We talked about it in a podcast we did Sunday night that's out on the Lone Star Gridiron.
Yeah.
And you were the only one who picked Dayton to win that one. Coach Vanover even said, "No, there's no way I can go against Nederland in this one."
Well, and again, it's the same thing. It's the history. It's the tradition of a Nederland. You know that they're always going to be there. They're always going to be a playoff team. They're always going to be tough. And the past 2, 3, 4 years, Dayton hasn't been. They've struggled like crazy. They haven't made the playoffs in certain years. And it's been bad after a couple of decades to where they were the dominant force. And it looks like they're on their way back. I mean, you see a score like that and you beat Nederland 45-0, that's a statement.
That's huge. That is huge. Going over some scores in the area, Alvin defeats Cleveland 41-20. Tascasita falls to Katy 35-28. New Caney falls. I'm on the wrong week. I apologize. Everything that I just said, forget. You didn't hear it? You can't hear it? Okay. Willis defeats Cleveland 55-14. Summer Creek defeats Humble 28-14. Tascasita defeats Beaumont Westbrook 50-7. Goose Creek Memorial falls to Barbers Hill 35-6. Crosby falls to Port Arthur Memorial 2013. Baytown Sterling falls to Porter 40-14 was the final there. Richmond Randall falls to Brenham 38-22. Houston Legacy falls to Little Cypress Mauriceville 50-34. Navasota defeats Bay City 17-19, almost a baseball score there, or 17-9, excuse me, almost a baseball score there. As we talked about briefly, Hampshire Finette falls to Jasper 26-21. Liberty falls to West Orange Stark 53-8. Silsby over Hardin Jefferson 56-6. Game we didn't talk about leading up to this. Orangefield defeats Anahuac 25-15.
Yeah. And that I know that you and I have discussed this before, but just that Orangefield offense, and if you get behind against Orangefield, it can lead to disaster because you've got high school kids that are looking at the clock, and maybe you're behind in the second quarter. It's midway through the second quarter. Orangefield goes on a drive, and before you know it, when their drive's over, it's halftime, and now you're down a couple of scores, and you're thinking, well, we may not get but 3 possessions in this second half. We've got to make something happen on this drive because we're already down 2 possessions. And so it forces you into errors. I mean, there's a lot of unforced errors that occur in a situation like that. You rush something. You throw something that maybe you wouldn't throw in another situation. You make a move and try to extend the ball maybe for a first down that you normally wouldn't try. But it forces you into these things to where you think, I've got to hurry because time is running out on me. And you've got a freshman quarterback over there in Anahuac, and I know that everybody's talking about how great he is, and obviously he is with the numbers that he's putting up. He's fantastic. But if you got a freshman quarterback that's maybe not used to that, and you don't see that in junior high ball. I mean,
not at all.
You're not looking at the clock. You're not trying to judge time of possession. All of a sudden, it's a problem in, week 5 of the high school football season? Well, I can see a game being dropped like that real easy, and it's a lesson learned.
Shepherd falls to where am I at? Never mind. Tarkington defeats Hardin 14-6. Tarkington probably getting their first win of the season, first win of district. Probably may be their only win.
Might be.
And as we talked about in another podcast and stuff, you look at that. You go back and you look at the scores overall out of that district, and with Buna defeating Kirbyville, I'd said that put the question mark a bit there next to the Tarkington-Buna game. And I almost moved that question mark up to the Kirbyville game in that aspect. I had picked Tarkington. Well, I'd said Tarkington, if they finish 500 football, they'll be lucky this year.
Yeah.
And really and truly, as you look at it, 4-6 is really an ideal record over there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and definitely going to watch. And I've gotten some hate coming back off of that, off of the comments that I've made there at about Tarkington, and it's nothing against the kids. I just feel like that it's too soon.
Look, it's really rough, and I don't think people understand because, they've had all the same practice time as everybody else. If you get there as late as this coaching staff did, you're behind because you don't have your system in place, and whenever everybody else is just reviewing and putting in new things, you're teaching a brand new system to kids that maybe haven't learned a football system ever.
Yep.
And so I don't think people understand exactly what goes on in some of these practices, especially if you're new coaches coming in a shortened amount of time. And it's an incredible task, and it's an incredible ask. The fact that they're winning football games this year is a credit to that staff.
No, it really is. Running down a couple more scores real quick. Diboll defeats Palestine Westwood 45-7. Shepherd falls to Woodville 42-14. Warren falls to New Waverly 34-13. And Newton defeats Anderson Shiru 69-0. I challenge you to come to Bullet Grill House and defeat some of their hamburgers that they have, like the Oktoberfest burger.
Oktoberfest burger. It's the new one.
I seen the picture of it on Facebook, had to share it. Dude, I'm probably going to order it tonight just
You got a couple more weeks to get it.
Of course, Craig also said he's going to get on a bull in a couple of weeks, so it's not the same kind of challenge.
I did get on a bull. I did buck off, but I got on the bull.
There you go.
I raised $720 for charity.
There you go.
But Chris got a lot going on here at Bullet Grill House, and
you know what? Let's talk. We just watched the Astros. We're here on Wednesday night. We just watched the Astros. Their 106 win to close out the regular season. Great season. Congratulations. No Astros this weekend because they get the weekend off. Great thing. Starting Tuesday, we'll see them in the divisional championship, and we're gonna have some great specials. I'll tell you one thing we're gonna have. We never talk about our hot dogs. Have you had the hot dog?
I have.
It's a quarter pound, all beef, and we load them up with. We got 6 different, I think, signature dogs.
Better than you can get in Minute Maid.
And we're going to offer those during Astro playoff games for $5.
There you go.
$5 hot dogs. And we got some other drink specials. I don't like to talk about drink specials on the high school show. So follow us on social media, and we're going to have some great drink specials. We're going to have the $5 hot dogs during the Astro playoff games. So it'll be great next week.
You're listening to the Bullet Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. We're going to take a break. We come back, second segment right after this.